Is this on? Okay. Okay. Can everybody hear me? Yeah. Okay. Hi, I'm Mark Crispin Miller. Welcome to First Tuesdays for... Just save that. It gets much better. Delighted to have Lamar Waldron back here tonight. We had Lamar come a few years ago to talk about his and Thom Hartmann's first book on the Kennedy assassination, Ultimate Sacrifice. He's here to talk about Legacy of Secrecy, the long shadow of the JFK assassination, which follows the story. First of all, it adds a lot of new material to the first chapter of the story, which is Kennedy's murder, Jack Kennedy's murder. And then it follows the narrative up through the assassinations of Bobby Kennedy and Martin Luther King and all the way up through Watergate. It basically discusses the consequences of the kind of highly paranoid government secrecy that directly and indirectly enabled these further catastrophes to take place. I just want to say a word very briefly about why I think Lamar's work is so valuable, so important. He and Thom Hartmann worked for many years. They got countless documents declassified. They were instrumental in getting Congress to pass a law requiring that all JFK-related documents be released by the CIA. This law was passed in 1992. We have yet to see the documents. They interviewed a lot of people who either never were interviewed or whose interviews were much abbreviated in the Warren Commission report. They are scholars of the first magnitude. And what they're discussing is tremendous historical importance. But I want to say something very specific about why I think it's so important. America has been estranged from the truth about things for quite a while, especially since the dawn of the Cold War, which I think has probably done more to strengthen this wall of secrecy that I've been talking about than any other historical event. We're all ready to agree, I think, that the Warren Commission report is an inadequate explanation of what happened in Dallas on November 22nd, 1963. It's an unusual person who will say, no, that absolutely explains everything. The beauty of Lamar's work is that it does demonstrate very thoroughly that the Warren Commission report is completely misleading. It's preposterous in many ways. However, his work also illuminates why the cover-up took place. The work debunks the Warren Commission report, but the beauty part is that it also debunks what you might call the Oliver Stone thesis to explain Kennedy's assassination. And this is very timely. A friend of mine, I sent out an announcement to my listserv today. I put it up on my blog, notifying people that Lamar was going to be here. And I mentioned, I hope I'm not stealing any of your thunder, the fact that in the new book, we have a partial transcript of a confession to Jack Kennedy's murder by the mafia boss Carlos Marcello, the godfather of New Orleans. It turns out his cellmate, he was in prison for a while, which was unusual for him, his cellmate was an FBI informant. And Marcello confessed to this guy in a lax moment that he had the son of a bitch killed. And I think you guys got it declassified with great difficulty and so on, and it's full of redactions, but there it is. I mentioned this in the email as a kind of tease. I mean, the book is absolutely rich with things like this, just mind-boggling revelations. So I get this email from a friend of mine. I have to read it to you because it makes my point amazingly well. An FIB-produced transcription. Get it, fib? An FIB-produced transcription of a confession, in quote marks, by a Louisiana mafia don conveniently exculpating our ultra-powerful corporatist U.S. shadow military spy covert ops government, including the CIA and FIB. Forgive me, but I'm more than a bit skeptical of this. Okay? Now here's the thing. There are conspiracies. There's no question about it. Okay? I mean, a conspiracy is an agreement. And as someone who's done a lot of work on election fraud under the Bush regime, I'm not one to scoff at the idea of conspiracies. They go on all the time. You could explain history through conspiracies. However, to believe, it seems to me, to believe in an absolutely unitary, eternal, all-encompassing, ultra-powerful conspiracy is just as naive as to believe in no conspiracy theories. And, more importantly, if we really do subscribe to the view that they are ultra-powerful, that they will inevitably cut down every righteous voice, see, if we believe that, we're necessarily paralyzed. And what are we going to do? What we're going to do is we're going to stay home, we're going to lock the door, we're going to turn the TV up all the way, right? And we're going to mind our own business. See? So it's paralyzing. It's not only inaccurate, but it's paralyzing. Okay? So I find these books incredibly liberating. First of all, it's better to know than not know things. But also, it's better to know that what you're up against is ultimately human, although it acts in an inhuman way, and things can be explained, at least to some extent. So, Lamar's going to talk, then we'll take questions, the usual format here, okay, and then afterwards the book will be available, and I urge you to buy it and have Lamar sign it. So please join me in welcoming Lamar Waldron back to the bookstore.
Let's see if I can raise this a little bit here. Let's see. Or maybe I'll just stay bent over a little bit. Okay, how about there? Okay. First off, I want to say how great it is to be here in New York. I'm a native Atlantan, but love New York City. Been coming here for 30 years, and we used to get 3 or 4 good snows a year in Atlanta, but thanks to global warming, we don't anymore. So I've actually kind of enjoyed seeing the white winter wonderland here, but I know it's probably not great if you have to live here and slog through it. But so it's just great for me to be here. And I also want to thank my co-author on the book. Even though his name is on there small, Thom Hartmann. Thom, who's now a DJ for Air America, was very critical in all of the early research for the book. When we started out by looking at every JFK theory you have ever heard of, and I assure you many JFK theories you have not heard of. We looked at everything for 2 solid years, kept hitting a brick wall, coming up, saying, well, this leads nowhere, this really doesn't work out. And so Thom and I, we eventually then went toward the people that actually worked with John and Robert Kennedy. But Thom, after a few years, he had to go off and become a great author, first in the field of attention deficit disorder, then in politics and the progressive movement and energy and renewable energy. And he has this wonderful radio show on Air America, along with other folks like Rachel Maddow and Lionel. And I understand New York doesn't get Air America right now, but hopefully maybe that will change. Oh, okay. And so I encourage you, and I also encourage you too, Thom comes to New York 2 or 3 times a year to speak. Thom is one of the greatest speakers you will ever hear. He is a professional speaker. He is just wonderful. On the other hand, I